Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and we've got a crypto industry under siege, and there's a real scenario right now where right at the time that the entire industry is under complete siege, XRP gets clarity all by itself. And so that scenario would be very good for Ripple and for XRP. And so for that reason, Link2's doing a special today only. I think it's until midnight today. What they're doing is for if you invest $10,000 or $10,000 in Ripple equity on their platform, they're going to give you $1,000 worth of XRP. If you do $25,000 investment in Ripple private equity, they're going to give you $2,500 of XRP. If you do $50,000 of Ripple private equity, they're going to give you $5,000 of XRP, and that is cool. The link's in the top of the description. You can click on it, tell them DAI sent you. Now, against the backdrop of all this government stuff where they're trying to come after crypto, the markets don't seem to buy it. I mean, I think the markets are making it pretty clear. XRP itself's up in the last 24 hours 4.65%. I don't think the markets are buying that they're going to be able, the government's going to actually do any kind of, look folks, if you think about it, if they were going to ban it, then just ban it, but they're not. There's games being played. And here's a good little reminder right here. Nothing stops this train. We've been to this dance before, folks. When they first dropped the lawsuit on Ripple, we fought for over 2 years by ourselves with no help from anyone. And as Rosie Rios says, the train has already left the station. And what we say is nothing stops this train. All right, so I like that from Cowboy Crypto, who is the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel. And not just every channel has an official cowboy, by the way. John Deaton had retweeted one of his older tweets, and he says, "It certainly wasn't a popular tweet at the start of the year, but I think it's clear that there won't be a settlement between the SEC and Ripple until after the judge rules, if ever." See, I didn't even realize until recently that the judge could rule and then you could have a settlement. I didn't even realize it worked that way because I'm not an attorney. But I still say, because I asked the question this morning, when are we getting the ruling on the Hinman documents? Because until I have those Hinman documents and emails unredacted in my hot little hands, I stand by my settlement prediction because I don't think they can show them. And if I'm proven wrong, it won't be the first time. I'm human, but that doesn't mean I still don't think it. And again, I'm not an attorney. I'm just saying that they fought so hard to not show those things. If this judge forces them to show, now, I guess there is a scenario where the judge does not force them to show them until she does the summary judgment. And if that's the case, then I would say they're going to want a settlement after the judgment. But one way or another, I don't think that they can afford for some of the names in that stuff for it to be known what they were up to. Check this out. I think this Sam Bankman-Fried is intentionally trying to act like he's got something wrong with him mentally. I think his judges may be his attorneys might be telling him to do some of this stuff, but to make it appear that he's not in his right mind. In this case, I think the judge must have told him to not access the internet or something, and she found out that she or he, I don't know if it's a she or he, accessed the internet remotely. So listen to this right here. Now, yesterday we had the Congressional Committee. The Congress is pissed, okay? Listen to what they said here.
The American people deserve...
Mr. Scott was one of the heroes of the hearing, by the way.
The American people deserve to know why no action was taken prior to FTX's collapse and how millions of dollars of Americans' hard-earned money just vanished into nothing.
Yep. And then there was this. the elephant in the room.
As I want to address the elephant in the room. If Chairman Gensler is going to take action, enforcement action, and Congress needs to hear from him very soon. The chairman had lots of time to do the rounds on the morning talk shows. If he has time for that, he should be here testifying with us this morning. And I hope that we see him here very soon.
Well, he might. Well, the other thing he might be doing, I guess it's Congressman Scott, he might be doing one of those video productions that he does, those fancy taxpayer-paid video productions where he brags about his settlements that he's forced companies to do. He could be working on those, and that's why he can't talk to you guys. Then there was this clip right here.
Proof of reserves and other things that Congress can act on. I don't find a lot of comfort in knowing that Mr. Gensler thinks he has full authority to implement a regulatory regimen, because I think he's been going a little bit too fast and a little bit too expansive on rulemaking, which is why I hope that Congress will act so that we get this right. So give me some ideas on singles and doubles.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question, Senator. Frankly,
this guy right here is anti-crypto, and I'll show you why in a second.
Reserves aren't worth the paper that they're written on. And I would just point to the...
Okay. His whole theme was negative. I'll show you some more of him. But here's his resume. He's now like a policy director at Duke Financial Economics Center. His name's Lee Reiners. But look where he was. You know how this works, folks. They send these. Remember what they did with Gary Gensler? He's at the CFTC. They sent him off to MIT for a few years. They go there. That builds their street cred to be some professor somewhere. They're doing it. They did it to Ben Bernanke after he was at the Federal Reserve. They send them off to these schools, and then now they're all of a sudden their intelligence has been enhanced, and now they're even more legitimate. And then they deliver them back up to either maybe give testimony in front of Congress or maybe go get another government job. All right. So this is the guy they call up there so that they can make sure that he puts all the negativity that they can on the record.
Crypto is not new. The first Bitcoin transaction was in 2009. So we have a 14-year track record to look back and assess this. And it didn't take the internet 14 years to prove its worth. And so when you look at cryptocurrencies, I would just ask, what's the fundamental value? Why are they worth anything? Normal financial assets are someone else's liability.
You haven't been able to find out if what they're worth yet, because the government hasn't allowed the true utility to be seen yet. They sued Ripple. What would that utility look like at this point if they had not?
Right, there's an issuer. Otherwise, where would the returns come from? So there's no reason to think that cryptocurrency is going to generate returns indefinitely into the future. It's clear that people are just buying it because they think they can sell it to someone else at a higher price in the future. There's no fundamentals. Now, that doesn't mean necessarily that blockchain doesn't have value, and I think there's a way to regulate the risk associated.
Sounds like what Jamie Dimon said.
With crypto and to the consumer protections point that you raise, while still allowing, traditional financial services to experiment with blockchain as they are.
All right. So he's full of crap. Okay, here's another clip.
There is no evidence whatsoever to suggest that crypto promotes financial inclusion. And in fact, there's overwhelming evidence to suggest the exact opposite is happening. Most people who've invested in cryptocurrency have lost money. Of those people, a plurality are minority.
Most of the money that's been lost has been because of Gary Gensler and his friends going around suing companies that are booming and then bringing them down.
Low income Americans. Okay, so this is an example of predatory inclusion. We saw the same thing.
Not to mention FTX, folks. See, we'll get to that in a minute. But don't think look, they were cozying up to FTX, and it just so happens, I remember BitBoy floating out the idea that FTX was behind all of the crashes that happened last year.
Subprime loans leading up to the 2008 financial crisis, where low-income and minority communities are being explicitly targeted.
Now that's just
with
pure
very, very risky
BS
products.
right there.
And unfortunately, they have lost, in many cases, everything.
See,
there is
no, when
no
you hear
evidence.
something like that, that's by design. They're trying to make it a political issue and pull heartstrings.
I, for example, moved back.
This lady has it right. Now, let me see who she is. Chief Regulatory Officer and General Counsel and lecture Georgetown Law. Now, she's previously with these government organizations, but listen to what she says.
I, for example, moved back to the US from Europe. I had to pay $4,000 to my European bank to move my own savings back to the US. And then I also had no profit from the spread the bank made when it converted from Swiss francs to US dollars. This is the type of opportunity that blockchain technology can help with. I look forward to that day when I'll be able to transfer money cross-border to myself and actually also make part of that profit in the spread.
There you go. I know who can help you. Now, Eleanor Terrett had made a mistake yesterday and said that there was a Wells notice that sent from the SEC to Circle, which when I saw that, I was like, what? Circle's backed by Goldman Sachs. That doesn't make any sense. And then Circle made her aware that that was a mistake and they did not receive a Wells notice. So don't worry, Goldman, you're okay. Not that I didn't think you were. Then Thinking Crypto, Tony had put out a tweet thread here saying he spoke to a source. He's got a source who cannot be named, and they gave me, so he's got an inside source here. We love inside sources, although we don't have any. They gave me insight into the attack on crypto, aka the Operation Choke Point 2.0. That's what they're calling this, I guess. Person worked in the government and now is in the crypto industry. The attack was green-lighted from the top. It is coming from Biden administration POTUS. This is why you see, no, well, it's not coming from him. It's coming from whoever runs him. This is why you see SEC, CFTC, and other agencies targeting crypto companies in parallel. This is why Gary Gensler is so bold and not afraid of consequences. The negative influence on the administration is coming from the following parties. Janet Yellen absolutely does not like cryptos. Gary Gensler wants more power for the SEC and will give some of it back when regulations come, but will have a large slice by then. Fed, stablecoins undermine the Fed and banking industries control money to do certain things. I've personally spoken to this. CBDCs are coming. The digital dollar cannot be usurped by stablecoins. Gary Gensler wants to be the face of this attack because he wants to build the clout and resume. He would like to get the Treasury job. Wouldn't that be disgusting? Can this be stopped? Yes, but Congress has to act. Will they? That's a big question. GOP and others, something done this year. Prepare for more pain. The attack has just started. They will continue to apply pressure. Of course, fraudster SBF gave them ammo they needed to be this aggressive. Or did the fraudster SBF working with the government, who was working with him while the fraud's going on, or was he the guy that was causing the crashes like Luna and all of those things through FTX? That's the question, folks. That's the one nobody's bringing up. My opinion, we're in the then they fight you phase. As we've seen throughout history, they can slowly disrupt tech, but they can't stop it. I'm bullish long term, and so am I. I've seen this movie. Now, he mentioned in that tweet thread that the CFTC is also working with the SEC and the White House on this crackdown. Well, Caroline Pham has put herself out as this pro-crypto person, and so I asked her. Remember, she's the one that showed up at Ripple. She's the one that showed up at the Bank of England. So I said, hey, Caroline D. Pham, is this true? You've been making rounds like you're pro-crypto, but according to this, you're involved in the crackdown coming straight from the White House, and you are coordinating with Gary Gensler. So I think that she, who wants to pretend like she's pro-crypto, deserves an answer to crypto. I agree with Tipsy Tiger. The SEC's timing for this ramp up in crypto market was planned. They purposely held back until the discovery ended in the SEC versus Ripple to stop unification and further participation in the case. Well, industry, you better hope Ripple wins and Gary Gensler, his time is short. I hope so. Then there's this. I asked Gary Gensler. Remember, Algorand was hatched out of MIT. His buddy over there, Silvio, whatever his name is. And I said, hey, and then the other day, the woman whose campaign he ran the finances for, she's married to an ex-president. We don't say her name on this channel. She's endorsing Algorand and working with them through her foundation. And as we know, Gary has secret meetings with her and George Soros and the lunatic whack job, one flew over the cuckoo's nest, Nancy Pelosi, and then he hides those meetings from his calendar. He scrubs them, public calendar. So my question is Algorand a security? Not that I want it to be. I want Algorand to fly high with all the rest of crypto, but I don't want Algorand to get a free pass like Ethereum either. I want there to be a level playing field. So this guy says, I got a big bag. This is the United States of America today under Gary Gensler. I got a big bag of algo for this exact reason. It's my corruption policy, insurance policy. So here in the United States of America, in what's supposed to be free markets, you have to have a corruption hedge now because of people like Gary Gensler. What a lovely place to be. And Library nailed it. If you have a shit product, you'll do anything to stop the competition. He's talking about the US dollar. Then Jake Chervinsky weighed in, and he's talking about basically his whole, if I had to sum up his thread, it's like, yeah, they're coming for crypto, but we can stop it, and you need to contact Congress, and you need to get active. Now, I want to draw your attention to this part right here, because I think this was all by design. To begin, some important scene setting. 2022 was the worst year in crypto history from a policy perspective, by far. It may have been the worst year in DC for any industry in recent memory. The whole year was one thing crashing after another, which I question whether it was caused by FTX, whether Sam Bankman-Fried was crashing these things. FTX did massive damage to crypto's reputation. Who had an incentive to create massive damage to crypto's reputation more than the SEC and all these government organizations that were meeting? CFTC, every single one of the people that think in crypto just mentioned in their tweet, every single one of those organizations was having meetings with FTX while they were going after the other participants in crypto. The White House, the CFTC, Congress, and the SEC, they were all meeting with FTX. And don't forget, because I'm going to point it out, has anyone really addressed whether FTX was propped up by the government in order to use a tool to cause all the crashes in crypto? Mark Wetjen, he was at the CFTC under Gary Gensler, and he was the general counsel for FTX. I smell government rats everywhere. Were the crashes orchestrated? That's my question. Now, we've been telling you for over 2 years now, John Deaton is part of the solution. Connect to Congress. He's still got it on his website. I've got the link. You can go and you can tell your congressman to get these people to back off. Connect to Congress. He's at crypto-law.us. Okay, crypto-law.us, and he's got a form you can fill out, and you can inform your Congress people that you're sick of all this. Now, here's one of the Ethereum maxis who's asking a question. Okay, crypto, what's the best way to fight this rogue SEC? So, as if nothing's been going on for 2+ years. I said the best way is for Bitcoin and Ethereum maxis like you to put their bias behind them once and for all and get behind John Deaton, who has done more fighting than anyone in crypto with none of your help, because you wrongly thought he was only fighting for XRP for 2+ years when he was actually on the front lines of fighting for all of crypto. And you guys are just now waking up to it. And if you hadn't been so self-centered for the last 2+ years and only thought about yourself and only thought, oh, well, they're not touching Ethereum, so we've got a free pass. So good, go after XRP. If you hadn't taken that stance, then you wouldn't be having to fight it here 2 years later. Maybe we would have been past all this. But wrong-o, buddy. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that these guys ought to be ashamed of themselves because they're ideologues. And we've been trying our best to get everybody we could involved, but they all ignored John Deaton. To Jake Chervinsky's credit, it took him a while, but he came around, and he was actually, I think on Twitter, I've seen him interacting with John Deaton, and I think that's a good thing. He's a maxi too, but I think he came around a little bit.